Yo, it's Tug from We Make Best, and we back with another Kano video. After many requests, we're going to walk you guys through on how to play the aggro matchups as Kano. So this is the deck list we're going to be running into these matchups. Shout out to Blazing for Lethal, aka Dank Jank, for the deck list. He told me I have to call it Draconic Kano, so that's what we're going to be calling it. To quickly explain, this list revolves around the cards Reverberate, Snapback, and Aether Flares to let us go wide like a Draconic deck. These cards allow us to present multiple spells a turn at our opponent, all with relevant on hits, so that if the opponent doesn't have the spare resources to AB our stuff, we might just one-shot them on our own turn. Aside from this, we're still running the standard Wildfire combo with 3 Aether Wildfires, 3 Blazing Aethers, and 3 Lessons in Lava, but do note that we moved the red Aether Spindles to the sideboard as they're just too clunky as a 2-cost. The only 2 costs we are running besides Wildfire is Sonic Boom, as this card actually has a lot of synergy in a deck full of 1-cost wizard spells. I'll leave a link to the deck list in the description, so if you guys want to test this deck out, feel free. But let's get into these games. Alright, so let's start off with the Rhinar matchup. Real quickly, I did win the dice roll, and then I chose to go first. This is just to prevent the Rhinar from just absolutely one-shotting us with a Blood Rush Bellows on turn 0. So we're going to start off with a Kano off the top, and then we do hit a red Aether Flare that we do look to banish since we have so many blues. We're going to activate Crucible with the blue Reverberate, and then shoot in the Aether Flare. Since it's turn 0, we are expecting an AB3 from the opponent. Otherwise, they're going to take a lot of damage from this Reverberate also. And yep, like I said. So then instead of that, we're just going to play out this E-Pot and then Arsenal the Reverberate for next turn. So a decent turn 0, get an E-Pot and get the blue out of their hand. The opponent looks like us taking that blue was actually important because now they're just following up with a swing big. I did think about pummel here. Maybe he did have a pummel. So I opted not to even block with 1 card, just take the 8, go down to 22. Just using our life as a resource here. And then luckily for us, there was no pummel, so super good for us. We get to go to our turn with a Reverberate into this tome, but first we're going to use Eye of Ophidia to activate the Crucible of Aetherweave. This just lets us opt 2 to see what we're going to draw into with the tome. And as you can see, some very good cards. Don't mind drawing into the Snapback, as you can just play it as a instant since we've played a wizard spell prior to that. But yeah, so following the plan of just shooting the Reverberate for 4. Key thing that they do hit for 4, so even through AB3, it's still going to allow us to banish and then play another wizard card as an instant. And obviously we're going to look at using the tome. We choose the tome instead of the lesson because we know what's on the top, and also we want to arsenal one of our combo pieces, that being lesson. But yeah, so we just cast the tome, draw 2 cards, we find Snapback, shoot the opponent for 3. Key thing to note here is the opponent is not ABing anything. So we're just going to use the other blues, the Kano. We find a Tome of Fiendol. So draw 2 cards, draw 2 more blues, Kano again. We find a red Aether Flare this time. Very powerful. So this one's going to probably ask the opponent if he still wants that. He snap no blocks, so just looking for another wizard card here to punish him for that decision. As our next one gets buffed by 3, we find another tome, so 2 more blues. Look for some more Kanos. Now we find an Aether Quickening. And so this one says the text of if it deals more than 4 damage, we get go again. And since we have 2 floating, since he snap took that for 7, we now gain an action point back. And then now, since we even have the E-Pot and 2 floating, we can use our lesson, which should come in for 3. And now if the opponent doesn't AB this, we can use our E-Pot and the floating to go grab a Blazing Aether and just shoot it at the opponent for lethal in our own turn. So you get to see here if the opponent still wants to stay on the no blocks. I mean, I'm pretty sure the opponent should have blocked the Aether Flare. That's why that card is just so good in this deck. But the opponent opts to take it. This lets us go search for the Blazing Aether in our deck, crack our E-Pot, and the 1 floating, use that to activate Kano. And then this is coming in for 20 arcane damage. So Hopefully this displays to you guys just the power of Draconic Kano. So yeah, you see us just bottoming everything else. We've put the Rhinar to 1. They did have to use a card, the AB there, to not die, so we still even got a card out of them while dealing 30 something damage. But the opponent uses their Barkbone to cast Blood Rush, and it discards a Blood Rush, so their turn is over, and looks like the opponent is disconnected right there. So hopefully that displays a little bit of how good Draconic Kano is. But on to the next game. So as you can see, we're up against a dash this time. I believe I won the die roll and put him first. I can't quite remember right now, but this is what we prefer anyway. We always want to go second, just in case they do stuff like this. So the opponent casts the Teklo Pounder, pitching 2 reds. So we've got the all clear to just use all our cards to activate Kano and just shoot at the opponent right now. We get lucky, we find a blue Aether Flare off the top. And the opponent does opt to just take 2 because they want to keep their arsenal. And then, so now we get to Kano again, looking for another wizard spell. We find another Aether Flare, so pretty lucky for us. And then we're just going to shoot that at him as well. So this one's coming in for 3 damage. Not too bad. Heal 5, but they get their Teklo Pounder and an arsenal. So not horrible, but not fantastic either. A little bit of a weird hand, so we're going to have to rely on the top of our deck. We find a red Reverberate, so super strong. Pitching another blue in the Crucible into Reverberate. This will work through even AB3, as it'll still nick him for 1, and then we can banish the Tome and then cast that. So whether he ABs this or not, we're pretty happy. Just looking to banish this Tome, draw 2 cards, and then even use our action point afterwards to play out the E-Pot. But yeah, just following the plan. Looked like the opponent didn't AB there, so that's good for us. They're equal life totals. So we do draw into a Sonic Boom. So now I'm wondering if I'm meant to just shoot the Sonic Boom since the opponent doesn't want to AB. Usually means that I'm pretty safe to send the Sonic Boom for 3, because they're giving me the vibes that they don't want to AB anything, obviously. This also does another thing, that it puts the energy potion in our arsenal, and since they've got double Teklo Pounder, we'll probably be looking to block out anyway, and then just play the energy pot like a turn or 2 later down the line. So as you can see, the Sonic Boom was the correct choice because they had to pitch 3 reds to stop that one. So super happy for us. We'll definitely take a time walk there. And then, so now we get to just Kano. We find a Gaze. We do Kano there because we want to look to cast the wizard card as an instant and then play the Chain as our spell for the turn. And then this will let us use the floating resources to cast a Lesson in Lava as well. But us finding Gaze lets us cast the Chain as our action point, respond to it by casting the Gaze as an instant since the Kano activation. This lets us opt to, and both sets the requirements for Chain and Gaze to be met. Looks like I just bottomed both of those cards there. But now Chain's coming in for 3, and since we played the Gaze, it will let us play the wizard spell as an instant. We've got 2 floating, so we're going to activate Crucible and then shoot him with the Lesson. We wanted to save the Crucible for the Lesson there, just in case the opponent does want to AB3. But already dealt 3 damage. Now we're coming in for 4 with a Tutor, and they know that we have a Gaze to Kano into whatever we want. So they opt to take the 4 there, so we're very happy to just go grab Blazing, use the Gaze in our hand to Kano into it, and then shoot him for another 7 with the Blazing. And then as you can see, turn 3, we've put our opponent to 17, and we're still on a healthy 30. So we're in a very good spot right now. Opponent starts off with a Combustible Courier, red. This coming in for 8 because of 2 Teklo Pounders. Our hand was pretty average, so pretty happy to just chuck everything in front. Should always block the Couriers. Then the opponent follows up with a yellow zipper hit, comes in for 4. Happy to take that. And then the opponent just ends there. And then, so we get to use the Eye of Ophidia to activate Kano. We don't find any 0 costs, so I believe we just bottom both of these. And then, like I said, on turn 1, the Kano does end up finding a 0, so not bad. We'll take the free damage when we get it. But yeah, like I said before, on turn 1, I believe, when we arsenal this E-Pot, on the turn that we're just looking to block out, the E-Pot is a fantastic 1-card hand for us to play from Arsenal. So that's relining up. So we find a Wildfire and a Blazing. Do note that we don't have the Arsenal, so that is very important. But since we have the E-Pot and Tunic up, and the opponent's on 16, we might be able to still kill them with a 4-card hand here. Yeah, I believe I put a card in front or 2, and then I took these back because I realized that I might still be able to just kill him, because I'm just not used to having the opponent down to 16 life like this. This Draconic list is super good for that. So yeah, take back the blocks. I'm pretty sure I just declared no blocks here, and we'll see what the opponent does after that. I think you see me just doing the math. I believe if the opponent did tap out, we did have the kill. By just pitching the blue to Kano, we should only find a 0 or 1, as long as it's a burn spell. And then we can use the Storm Striders, using the E-Pot and the Tunic to cast the Wildfire for 4 or 5. And then Ragamuffins has to hit a blue to put the Blazing on top and Kano into it, but that's a fair bet that I would be happy to do. So we declare no blocks here, and then that scares the opponent into not even playing anything else. So it feels like we've already got 2 time walks just off the crazy damage turns that we've been able to present. So we use the Tunic here and use the Blazing Aether to pitch into the Aether Flare. Use the Tunic here because we've got the energy potion to make up for the missing resources on the combo turn, while also the Tunic is kind of activating Crucible twice, since the Flare is going to definitely come in for 1 now that we've used it, and then this will buff the Aether Dart as well. So it's essentially using 2 Tunics here, so that's why I'm happy to use it there. And then as you can see, the opponent had the AB3 on the Flare, otherwise they're probably going to just die. And then, so they still take 1, and then Aether Dart deals 2. And then on their turn, they're forced to only play Teklo Core, or they're just gonna die. Now we've got some more go wide cards. Here we've got a lot of options. We can Kano first, which it looks like I do. We find another red Aether Flare, and it's perfect. Just gonna pitch the energy potion to Crucible, it looks like. Oh no, it looks like I just shoot the Aether Flare for red. Can't remember perfectly my thought process here. Oh, it was just to throw all 3 of the spells at the opponent. So we do get the AB3 out of him, which is correct from the opponent. But now we're going to shoot him for 4 with 1 floating, which is for the snapback as well. This is just to present the maximum amount of damage through the AB3. Because if we activate a Crucible, we can't cast the other 2 1-cost spells from our hand. But yeah, so again, the opponent forced to AB our cards. They're on 6 health. Now the opponent's swinging in for 11. You can see right here, them being on 6 health, I just snap no blocks. I'm happy to take 11. The opponent did boost, so I'm expecting a follow-up play here. Since it doesn't kill us, just waiting for them to present lethal before we just kill them in response. And then the opponent does use their resource for Teklo Foundry Heart, and I believe this is the sign to go. Pretty simple line though. All we got to do is just shoot them with the Wildfire. Even through a blue, they'll still take 3, and then any spell off the top kills them. So yeah, we're just going to Kano first, grab a Reverberate off the top, pitch our blue to activate Storm Striders and Crucible. We also just activate our E-Pot, and then shoot the Wildfire. And then buffer with Metacarpus. So this is coming in for 6. So even through a blue, the opponent should just be dead here. And the opponent only had a yellow. So AB2, take 4. And then we just cast a Reverberate. Note that we do have a target for the Reverberate as well if it mattered. Another insane game from this Draconic list. On to the next game. So on to the next game, we're up against a Fire here. So this is the bro B-Net on it from We Make Best. So he's going to start off by sending the Rising Resentment. Obviously they're going first, so we're happy to just block out everything. Just try to keep the Lesson in Lava if we can, but if we have to block, we're happy to block with it. So yeah, they're doing the typical line of head jab, head jab, head jab, blah, blah, blah. But as you can see, we're going to show them who the real Draconic hero is in this matchup. They activate the hero ability, come in for 1. Happy to take this one. Don't really want to overblock with a lesson. And then, so that was the end of the turn. So very good for us. Only took 1 damage. They do get to keep an arsenal, but we get to keep our lesson in hand. So not too bad. Here we got a little bit of an awkward hand. Not too sure exactly how we're meant to play this one. Since it is a fight, you do kind of want to get the cards out of their hand because it prevents the damage that they're able to put on you. And so with this thought process, I am thinking about using the Aether Quickening, because if he doesn't AB it, we're going to be able to punish them really hard. But the other line is pitching the Aether Quickening to the Crucible to play Sonic Boom, so we can keep our Lesson in Lava and Arsenal as a combo piece. But yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty happy to just send the Aether Quickening here. So this is going to come in for 5. And then if he doesn't AB this, we have Go again. So this will let us use the 1 floating to send in the Lesson in Lava as well. But then that's the thing. So even if they do AB this, if B-Net does want to AB, then we can use one of the yellows to pitch in the Kano with the 1 floating, and then just hope to hit something there. So either way, we're happy. He opts to take the whole 5 and give us Go again because his hand is nuts. I believe that's what he said when we were playing. So yeah, we get to punish him a little bit by playing the lesson with the 1 floating. And then obviously he's not going to AB that if he didn't AB the first spell, so we get to go put Wildfire on top of our deck. Just looking to cast this Sonic Boom next turn, and then Wildfire in the arsenal, and then look for the kill. Since we've already got him in the kill range, super good perk for the go wide on the Draconic Kano plan. So yeah, it starts off with the old Art of War, and then sends in the Soaring Strike for 5. Since I know B-Net, I know he loves his snatches, so I am looking at this Soaring Strike like he's got a snatch here, and maybe he's got an awkward hand, especially since he pitched away a Blaze Headlong. So we'll just block this out, but obviously he got us. Just sending in the Rising Resentment for 4 here now. We're opting to not want to block anything else this turn because we do want to get this Sonic Boom out of our arsenal in our own turn, just so we can place the Wildfire in there. So yeah, we'll take the 4 here. He does crack his Mask of the Pouncing Lynx because he knows it's going to be a big turn, especially since it's an Art of War turn. Then cast a Flame Call for 3 because of the Rising Resentment. This hits us for 4. He sends in the Phoenix Flame for 2 since it's buffed by the Art of War. Take another 2. Activates 5, so another 2's coming in with another Phoenix Flame. Oh no, he pitches this one to Saurian Emberblade. Makes sense for the next Flame Call Awakenings. Then he does send in the Lava Burst for 6. And then I believe, yeah, he misclicks here. He's meant to use his Tide Flippers here. So Lava Burst for 6, and then you can see the chains on the screen for the Salt the Wound is about to come in for, I believe it was 8. Yeah, and we're just happy that it didn't kill us, didn't force the block out of us, otherwise we're going to be stuck with a really bad hand. But yeah, so we're down to 2 after 1 real turn from the Fire player. But yeah, same plan as before, just pitching the blue to Crucible Sonic Boom. He doesn't want to block because he knows the combo's coming in the next turn. We get pretty lucky, we get to hit a Sonic Boom off our boom. So another 3 coming in. Obviously he doesn't AB that either for the same reasons. And then just an extra 1 damage on top with the blue zap. So we get to zap him as well. Should put B-Net down to 24. And then we get to Arsenal the Wildfire. So not bad at all. And then it looks like being it does follow up with an Enlightened Strike with buff power. The only reasoning I could see you choose that one is because he's got Razor, so I do just opt to send it. Here, 4 blues and a Wildfire, happy to send it. So we Kano'd into a red Aether Flare, which is one of the nuts cards. So yeah, don't need to say anything else, just pitching a blue to Stormstrider's Crucible, pitch another blue to the Aether Wildfire, and then we're going to respond to the Metacarpus no trigger by should be activating our Ragamuffins hat. If we find another blue, we get to put the Gaze on top and then Kano into it just for a free look. So we might as well do that. Something to note as well, on his last turn he did crack the Tide Flippers, so there's one of their AB gone. So I'm pretty sure Bina is just dead no matter what. But yeah, we find the blue off the rag, so we Kano into the Gaze. Then I believe I just keep the red spell on top. I think I'm just doing the math in my head if I can Metacarpus, Snapback and Aether Flare along with Kano off of the Gaze, and I believe I could. So yeah, kept it on top, cracked the Spellfire, so now I've got 3 floating. So this allows us to pump with a Metacarpus onto the Wildfire. So this will be coming in for 6, he'll AB 1, so you take 5 down to 19. And then here I think I just do it quick by Kanoing into the Snapback. Since we've got 2 floating, we can cast the Aether Flare. This will be buffed by the Wildfire for 5, so this is coming in for 8. Expecting another AB1, so he takes 7 off of that, and then now the Snapback's coming in for 3 plus 7 plus 5. So coming in for 15. And boom. That's Draconic Kano for you, baby.